Oh, me. Well, that was going to be the front end of the Batmobile. Now it's the front end mixed with the quarter panel. So the intro was true. The heat index was 110 degrees. Wasn't it, John?
Mm-hmm.
And the Batmobile's it was only one sheet of fiberglass, and it was all PLA. And that poor body literally melted in the heat. It was just a big clump of PLA plastic and fiberglass, because we only had one layer. The other one had 2 layers when it started getting hot. And that's probably what saved it from warping at all, was because it had 2 layers of fiberglass. We didn't have 2 layers of fiberglass because we were trying to build everything at once, get everything put together. So, excitement was set in. We were getting ready to kind of get a shape and a form on the car. And then one day I come out and I look, and the pretty much the canopy's top, the top of the Batmobile, was touching the asphalt walkway. And the wheel well was folded under that. It literally turned from, let's see if I can give you a good example. There ain't nothing in that. It literally turned from being flat to rolling up into a ball. So we're doing it again. We're not going to give up. We're doing it again. And me and the boys are going to be putting all of this plastic, all of it together into chunks, if you will. Maybe put 2 or 3 parts together. If it's a piece as big as your hand, we'll probably be putting 5 or 6 of them together. And this way, when we go to final assembly, we will final assemble it, and then we'll get to a point and we will do 2 layers of fiberglass. We'll let that cure, and then we will add on to that and then do 2 more layers of fiberglass. And this way, it will, the heat will not be able to get to it. Plus, it's going to start getting cold again. Not real soon, but by the time we get this together, it will start getting cold. And we just add a little more catalyst, and then we could sit this thing outside and let it cure. And then the beginning of next year is when we will finally be able to put the entire back of the car on the chassis. So today we will be doing what we will be doing is trying to get the driver's side quarter lined up, put in properly, and at least sitting on the chassis so we can get an idea of where it needs to go. We have an idea of where it needs to go, but it's always best to go on ahead and check, double check, triple check, and then put it on. So and who knows, we might be able to get a measurement off of it and then figure out where the front half of the car needs to be. So, and then we just take and put that measurement down and apply it and extend the frame to that point. All of this gave me a bit of a twitch, John.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can literally look outside and see that car melting. Mm-hmm. All right. Only one way to get it done. All right, first things first, we are going to be grinding off right around in this corner here, probably one, and put a piece here for the body mount. Probably a piece here for the body mount, and then it depends on where this last body mount's going to be. We'll have to sit it up there and find out. And then we're going to take, probably hard to see, there's 3 marks. That's the center, that's 1 inch off, that's 1 inch off. So we're going to have at least a 3-inch wider space so we can sit down and enjoy the ride instead of being miserable. On this mark, I'm going to bring up a rod, as well as on this mark I'll bring up a rod, and that will be where the about the center of the canopy, or wherever it's going to be on the canopy, this portion of the car will be sitting on. So alright, I'm just going to sit you guys up on the top here and we will get started. Alright, time for me to break out the little Harbor Freight welder. This little welder is actually rated for the exact thickness of this chassis. And it works. Don't get me wrong, it will work. You just have to turn down the wire speed. This is how I do it. I turn down the wire speed real low, turn it to max, and just sit there and weld. And that's the only way to do it. You just sit there and let it weld, because the only way it's going to penetrate is if it gets the metal hot enough. So the way you know the metal's hot enough is if you can't see the weld from the back side, you can about guarantee that the weld didn't do good on the front side. So you just sit there and you weld. It takes longer, don't get me wrong, but it will work. So I end up putting 3 bars on this. We use 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 4 or 5 jacks on this, just to hold it up till I can get all of the stuff kind of in line and properly squared up. Because even though the fiberglass shell is pretty rigid, it's still fairly weak to the point to where I can still maneuver it around to where I want it to be. Which helps out, because once I finally get it where I want it to be, I'm going to put what's called woven roving over it. And that should stiffen the whole fiberglass body up to stay where I want it to stay. You can see here on the first one, being that I've fast forwarded pretty heavily, that I'm just sitting there and letting the welder do its thing. The only issue that I did have with this welder during this process was the tip got stopped up. And it wasn't stopped up with carbon. It's just, for some reason, I don't know if the wire was a little thicker or whatever the case may have been, but it just wouldn't push the wire through it, so we had to take the tip off, all that good stuff, and pull the wire back through and pretty much reset and start over again. Now, I do have 2 welding helmets, and the boy, he wears it whenever he wants to look. I just tell him close his eyes, turn his face, welding or whatever the case may be, and that's it. Now, I sweat fairly heavily, TMI, but you'll see me wiping my eyes. It's not because I got flash burn, it's because I have sweat burning my eyes to death. And it doesn't have to be 100 degrees for me to be sweating like this. I've always been that way. So, just keep in mind that if you see me mess with my eyes, it's not because I'm flash burned or, doing something I ain't supposed to do. It's just because of the fact that literally sweat is burning my eyes to death. Now we get a level out right here on the first one and on this one. And we get it good and level and try to get it as close as we possibly can to ensure a good weld. Well, we've started to get it mounted. And it's raining again. That's good for probably about 2 or 3 hours. That's good for 2 or 3 hours of work, isn't it? Weld on 3 pieces of rebar, or whatever you want to call it, 1x1 steel, just so we can kind of get an idea of where everything needs to be. And then I've got jacks in the back, and you can see that piece of wood right there. There's 2 more on the fins on the back, so that way if the wind starts picking up, it hopefully will not push it over and completely destroy all of the work that I've done. But hey, it's actually on the chassis right now, which is awesome. I am extremely happy. So we're gonna have to find out, we're gonna have to find out what all else we need to do. I'm going to take that front one, I'm gonna take it back off, and I'm gonna move it back a bit. I don't think you guys can see it, and I can't zoom with this camera, but right here I've got a piece of metal fiberglass into the body, and right here I've got a piece of metal fiberglass into the body. Well, that bar right here is going to that piece of metal. This is only secured to fiberglass. I'm going to move that bar right here over a little bit so it's on that piece of metal, and that way it's all flat. And then I'm going to create a lip on the bottom right here, move the chassis and all out of the way, create a lip on the bottom, fiberglass in another piece of steel, and then we'll create little notches right here of steel, so that way it's all reinforced. And on the inside where the turbine is, I'm going to reinforce all of that and make sure that it is also strong enough, because you're supposed to be able to step on it. So at this point, if I stepped on it, it crushed it. So I'm going to actually put a plate of steel up in it, and then I'm going to weld that over and go down to the frame, so that way it kind of helps support it. But yeah, raining again. I just can't get rid of the rain. Alrighty, let's get out here and just show you what all the progress is real quick like. So we're kind of a monster car right now, but that's okay. That gives me room to work. So the bottom needs to be turned in a little bit. As you can see, it's kind of flared out just a bit, so I'm gonna have to take and get up under it and kind of force it that way. That's okay. I'm gonna have to add the extra piece that comes all the way up to here. That's okay, that's good. And really, I don't know how much more I got. I think around in here is where it stops. So maybe where that red line is, I can't remember. But still, I mean, we're doing good. We're actually making a bit of progress here. And it's getting harder rain again. Alright. Time to put the camera back up. Yeah, this is why I don't work on it all the time. Well, we reached the end of another episode. So, if you like what you see, want to see more, please like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, if we work together, we can fix just about anything.